In our last video with this car, it literally caught fire. In today's video, we're changing this to a manual. Welcome back to Project Jaaaag. Just to remind you guys, the reason we've bought this Jaag is to add a bit of competition into the channel. Who will end up with the best restored Jaguar at the end of it all? The smallest cogs with Richard's Jaguar XKR, or me with this XKR here at Swallows Racing? Before we tackle any restoration work on this thing though, it's been sat in a field for roughly 2.5 years, and there are many organisms growing all over it. So first things first, let's give it a clean. Although on first appearances the car looked rust-free, the main thing I was looking for was any bubbles of corrosion under the moss and grime. Having given this thing a bath now, all it's showing is, again, just how solid a car it is. Not a speck of proper rust on it, because it's been recently imported from Japan. It's not perfect. They've got sun damage on here, it's had a bit of a ding here. We've got lacquer peel on the roof, and then there's this weird cut that's kind of bleeding on the bonnet. But they are tiny bodywork bits and pieces compared to the fabrication that a UK car would need. So let's get this thing into the workshop and get that automatic slush box out of here. Dan, you said you've seen the last manual swap we did on the channel, which was our BMW M5 Touring. The thing with that chassis is they made manual versions of that car, so all the bits were kind of in place. As far as I'm aware, there was no such thing as a manual V8 Jaag from this era. So what's going to be the situation here? Is there going to be some welding?
No, the body still kind of has the hole for the gear selector. Okay. We've got our own pedal box that we've developed and made to suit a manual conversion for one of these. The main reason that Jaguar didn't do a manual in these was they were owned by Ford at the time, who also owned Aston Martin. So it would have been a direct competitor to the DB7 of the time. So yeah, other than that, it's not too much of a straight fit, but it's a little bit of fabrication here and there. But other than that, it's all ready to go. Okay,
and the reasoning behind the M5 gearbox changing was because it was that kind of horrible automated manual. This is slightly different. This is a proper torque converter gearbox, and this is more about power than anything. Why does the automatic gearbox sap so much power versus a manual?
It's purely down to the torque converter, and everything inside the automatic gearbox is a planetary gear, so there's just lots of losses. There's no actual direct drive from the engine to the gearbox via the torque converter, other than when it locks, which is in 4th and 5th gear.
Okay, so it will be a fair old jump then,
yeah,
straight away by having 3 pedals and a stick.
Yeah, I mean, a similar car, okay, it was a 4.2, but we saw, I think it was a 70 or 80 horsepower gain instantly just by swapping from a
70 or 80?
Yeah, from memory, that's what it was.
What's that torque converter doing?
Yeah, it's a massive, load of weight on there as well, so we lose a load of inertia on the crank, so it just frees up power everywhere.
Okay, good. Well, what's the plan then? What's the stages?
First of all, we need to take out the center console, remove the gear selector from inside so that then we can get it up in the air, remove the exhaust, remove the prop shaft, remove the gearbox, oil cooler lines, old flex plate, and then we can fit the new clutch, new flywheel, a 4.2 prop shaft and differential, because we like the better drive ratio out on the 4.2, and then put the gearbox in and pedal box, bleed everything and drive out.
Okay, sounds simple but also sounds like a lot, so let's crack on.
Okay.
Just to add to the history of this car, we've just taken off the gear selector, And this is where our manual gear stick's gonna come through. We've got a plate here, and there's 4, I mean, straight away I would have thought they were diamonds. 4 loose diamonds sitting underneath the gear selector. Now, if you pick these up, I mean, I'm not gonna give one of them to my girlfriend, really.
No, I don't think
it's a bit more of a, for you UK people, a bit more of a Claire's Accessories necklace style thing. There we go. 1, 2, 3, shit, where's the 4th one gone? Have you nicked the 4th one? They're probably worth more than the car is right now. With those diamonds set to fund the rest of the XKR's build, Dan and I pressed on with getting the old gearbox hardware out from under the car. It's the end of day 1 and we've finished with a pretty impressive gaping hole here in my Jag. We're off for some dinner and a sleep now, and we'll be back tomorrow to fill all of this back up again. We're back for day 2 and the first jobs are going to be clutch and flywheel on the new manual gearbox. But before then, today's video sponsor Car Vertical could not be a better fit, as we can plug the VIN number of this car into the app and check out this Jaag's history. It turns out this XKR has lived a very cool life. Looking into the Car Vertical report, everything up top is green. Accidents, mileage, finance and theft are all green ticks. We're in the clear there. But looking deeper into the report, it suddenly explains the reason that the XKR is a left-hand drive. The report says this car was first registered in Virginia. This is an American XK, which explains the running lights. It was then moved to Florida in 2005 and then somehow ended up in Japan, where the guys here at Swallows bought it from. Although we can't be certain, I think a rational explanation is that this Jag belonged to a member of the US military. It is common for folk in the military to get their cars shipped to wherever they've been posted, so I reckon a US soldier got posted to a base in Japan and got his car shipped out there too. Importing one of these Jags to Japan for a normal civilian would cost an absolute shed load, but if the army's paying, why not? Whether that is the exact story of the car, what we can say is that our XKR has circumnavigated the globe, having been built in the UK and then shipped to the US, then shipped to Japan and then shipped back round to the UK. I can't imagine there's many other Jags that have that on the books. Car Vertical can tell you information about your car that you'd never normally know. So click our exclusive link in the description below where you will get 10% off when using Car Vertical. Also, if you're buying a second-hand car, it is vital that you take a deep dive into that vehicle's history. With everything I've learned from this report, all I want to do now is add another cool chapter to this car's epic life story. Let's move. Dan, this isn't a completely standard clutch. What's this one here?
No, so this is one of our 5-puck paddle clutches. The reason behind this is you get a higher clamping force per surface area.
Yep.
But you've also got additional cooling in between all the pucks there. The downside on it is that it will judder slightly, but that is the gearbox being used to having a dual mass flywheel.
Will this allow me to flat shift around Castle Coombe?
Yes,
I'm not lifting the throttle.
It will take the abuse. It'll take standing launches and everything else. It will just be the rest that might suffer slightly in the long term if you carry on doing that.
Good, I like it. With that, the ZF 6-speed gearbox from a 2.7 diesel S-Type was lifted into place and connected up. Despite its humble origins, this gearbox is apparently more than strong enough to deal with the power we're aiming for with this XKR. With the manual box now in the car, let's check out the monstrosity of an auto that's come out of it. Here is the hefty torque converter that saps all of that V8's power. And it's not even a Jaguar box, it just takes a glance or two to see 1, 2, 3 Mercedes badges. This is what is still in Richard's XJR. Poor thing. With the sun setting, we decided to give the Merc slush box a proper send-off. So the pedal box is secured, the clutch has been bled, now is the moment of truth. Do we have a working manual Jaguar XKR? It's going to throw up a whole load of stressy lights. It's not enjoying itself, but we'll sort them out. The car doesn't have an exhaust, so it's going to sound like a Spitfire. Here we go. Bloody hell. Okay. Will it move? It moves! It moves! I don't have any brakes, I'm on the handbrake. Mission successful. We now have a manual supercharged V8 Jaaaag. Not bad. Bloody hell. So, a successful couple of days. Our Jaaaag now has 3 pedals and a gear stick, but there's no point in having done all of that work for the car to not be mechanically sound elsewhere. So in the next episode, we're going to be doing a whole load of work on the engine, which definitely needs it, suspension, brakes, and getting an exhaust on the car. Plenty to do, we'll see you then. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I've been Mike, and don't forget to subscribe to DRIVETRIBE.